Hi, I'm Marlow Felton.
I'm Chris Felton.
Thanks for joining us today. We're going to talk about making uncomfortable conversations comfortable. We've certainly had some uncomfortable money conversations.
We've had some.
Many uncomfortable money conversations.
Some things were thrown.
They were. By me.
And there were times that they weren't. Those were good. Those are good conversations.
I'm going to fix your color here. Why didn't we do this before we turned it on?
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
You
Okay.
See? If we can do it, you can do it. God, this thing's a total disaster.
So we want to help you make uncomfortable money conversations comfortable. So we're going to share with you 5 keys to making money conversations comfortable. And I'm going to share with you the first one that I think is really important, and that is to always go into the conversation with your goals and dreams, your ideal life in mind. Because if you're on the same page, you know what your goals and dreams are, then you can focus on that instead of making it a finger-pointing game or a blame game. And that's just a really good rule of thumb.
And one of my most favorite quotes that I haven't thought about in years just popped into my head.
Oh, what's that?
Don't make your short-term decisions jeopardize your long-term goals, dreams, and aspirations. I don't think it. It's probably been 10 years since I remember that one. So don't let your short-term decisions or your short-term emotions jeopardize your long-term goals, dreams, and aspirations. So people do that all the time. Number 2. You ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Are you going to read it?
Are you, honey, you read it.
Remember that great things happen from uncomfortable conversations, and in order to grow, they are unfortunately necessary from time to time.
So remember that transition happens, growth happens from oftentimes uncomfortable conversations. And we know from experience that that is definitely the case because our life really transformed from a really uncomfortable conversation that we had about 10 years ago. And it was around money, and unfortunately, it was a blow-up situation. So hopefully you can avoid the blow-up situation with some of the keys we're sharing with you today. But if you go into it with the attitude knowing that, your relationship is just going to grow when you have these uncomfortable conversations, and you're going to grow and they're necessary, then, maybe they're not going to be as daunting or feel as heavy when you feel like they're necessary and important and a growing process instead of drudgery. I mean, wouldn't you agree?
Well, yeah. One of our other favorite quotes is a life spent seeking comfort results in an entirely uncomfortable existence.
Right. Yeah, so avoiding the conversation and seeking comfort is certainly not going to produce anything but horrible results down the road, and a very, very uncomfortable existence when it's too late and, things haven't been planned for properly. So you can't, really avoid that. Okay. So if you've just joined us, I'm Marlow Felton.
I'm Marlow's husband.
This is my husband, Chris. My sidekick, as I like to refer to him.
Sidekick.
Whatever. Yeah, my sidekick.
All I think about is the motorcycle with the little cart on the side.
So we're covering the 5 keys to making uncomfortable conversations comfortable. We've gone over 1, keep your goals and dreams in mind, and 2, know that it's necessary and you're going to grow through the process, and 3 is start the conversation with your spouse's perspective in mind.
Yeah.
And address their needs and wants first.
Yeah.
So they know that you have considered their needs and their feelings. Wasn't that? I was the one that came up with that.
That's my favorite one so far.
It's my favorite one too. Because it's just important that you keep in mind that your spouse is another person. They have needs and wants too, just the same as you do. And if you lose that perspective, it can make the conversation much more difficult. So you can kind of help to smooth things out if you address the conversation keeping in mind their goals and needs too. So then going on to number 4, why don't you talk about this one? Having the conversation when you're relatively relaxed. So at the end of the day, when you're tired and hungry, not a good time. No, never when you're tired.
Avoid a financial conversation when the two of you are tired or, I'd say and as well, been drinking.
Yeah, don't have the money.
We've had some good.
Yeah, if you've been drinking, do not start a money conversation.
And you know what? Saturday Night Live.
And you know what?
And you know what? And you know what?
Yeah, no, don't do that. So tired, hungry, drinking, anything like that, never a good time.
Well, and these are code of honor things, right? That you know, you come up with codes, a code of honor, so to speak, about how you're going to communicate with each other, and you do that while everything's calm. Because when emotion goes up, intelligence goes down, right? So, having a code about, you know, when and how, and, you know, we're going to talk about it, and putting some parameters and some rules around it, and honoring those rules can help too.
Right, absolutely. Yeah. So moving on to the 5th key to having more comfortable conversations around money. And that is, remember that the more you talk about finances with your spouse, the easier these money conversations are going to become. So it's, you know, it's just like working out a muscle. You got to get used to it. Chris and I have a weekly check-in meeting time, and so that's a good time for us. And we know that we're going to have a conversation, so we're both mentally prepared for that. But, you know, one of the things we didn't talk about is when we have our conversations, we have found that the best time when we're most relaxed and ready for a money conversation is either a Saturday or a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
Because before we start drinking...
You know
because we're relaxed, we're not tired, we're not hungry, and if we need something to eat, we go get a snack before we have the conversation. So for us, that's the best time for us to have a money conversation. And really, if you're used to having this conversation on a weekly basis, and you know what to expect, and you've talked about your goals and dreams, then it just becomes so much easier. So, so just to recap, the 5 steps to making uncomfortable conversations comfortable. It's like a tongue twister.
Yeah.
And those would be money conversations, because those are often the most uncomfortable conversations. Number 1 is go into the conversation with your goals and dreams in mind. Focus on that. And then 2, remember that great things happen from uncomfortable conversations. So be prepared. Know it's a growing process. And so maybe that'll shift your attitude around these conversations, because most people kind of dread them. So you don't want to dread them. And then number 3 is to keep your spouse or partner's needs and wants in mind.
Yeah.
So start from the perspective of you identifying and acknowledging their wants and needs, because they have them too, when you go into the conversation. And number 4, find a time when you are most relaxed and you're not tired, you're not drunk, you're not tired, you're not hungry, to have these conversations. And number 5, know that the more often and regularly you have these conversations, the easier they're going to be, because it's just become a habit and you know it's coming, and they don't have to be dreaded conversations. And we really don't really dread our money conversations anymore.
Nope.
We've kind of worked through all the really bumpy, rocky stuff, years ago. And so because we've done that, they've become much easier.
Yep.
And nothing's really a surprise, because, we check in every week, so we're not, way off course and have to, pull ourselves way back into center. And oftentimes that's what makes the conversation much more comfortable, is because a couple's really veered really far off course. Yeah. So that's why the regular check-in really helps those conversations to be a lot easier. Right?
Amen.
Yes. So we're going to have a money conversation later today, and it's going to be very comfortable. Right?
And then we're going to have a glass of wine.
And then we're going to have a glass of wine. So thanks for joining us, and we'll hope to see you again next week. And you can click the link that I've provided to read the blog, Making Uncomfortable Conversations Comfortable. You can read my full blog. And also, you can see the click to join the conversation by joining the forum. So there's more information in that link as well. So have a great weekend, and thanks for joining us.